Shalom and good day to you. Today we're going to make Tzitziot. This is Tzitziot the way that I make them without a jig. I don't carry any special tools with me or anything like that. I simply use my fingers. I have a clip that binds my little pack together, and I have some pre-cut strings, simple scissors or whatever there to use to cut them. And this is something that I can take with me, brand new strings to tie off an extra one if I need it. So that if I break one or whatever, I've always got a way to make them. I would normally carry my windings in here, not just links of thread like I am today, but I just wanted to put the links in here to show you that this is a pack that you can carry with you in the glove box or whatever. You can always have something nice to lay out and make you some. So the commandment that we get in Numbers 15:38 and in Deuteronomy 22:12 commands us to make fringes up in the corners of our clothes. And this is the way it's interpreted, so that we may look upon them to see, remember the laws of Elohim and to do them. So the word there used is kanaf. Kanaf, depending on the way it's used, can mean corners. It can also mean fringes or borders or hems. So being the clothes of the times have changed, we don't have corners in a lot of our clothing. I'm in Texas, so it is hot. I'm not putting another layer on if I don't have to. So, if the most of the days do not require it, I'm not even going to wear a talit katan because it's another layer of clothing. What I do is I tie something that I can loop and actually do a tie on, like with a belt loop, so that it is tied onto the cloth. It's tied in such a way it does not cover my wrappings and my windings, and it is still something that is literally TziTzit, to look upon. Now here's the thing: we're told to do it. We're not told how. Now, even in the Tanakh, we're told a lot of specifics, like a lot, on how to put together things of the tabernacle and how to choose things to eat and things of this nature. There's only 2 verses to make fringes with a thread of blue. It really doesn't tell us how. So the word they're using, kanaf, there, it's already kind of a known thing that clothing of the times are going to change. And so, the way that the rabbis did them, they made, or the sages of old, they made corner cloth that we call talit, so that they had corners to tie these in to keep the commandments. However, this was supposed to be an everyday thing. And so I choose to wear something every day, but I also don't want to be hot in the process. And so as long as I have something to look upon with a thread of blue, and I do his commandments, it seems to me that I've fulfilled that command to tie something with a fringe and a thread of blue in it, so that I could look upon it with the intent and purpose of remembering his commandments so as to do them. So the how, we're told the what. We're not really told the how. As long as we're fulfilling the what, I'm sorry, that's good for me. And make it whatever you want to out of it. That's between you and Elohim. So this is what we're going to do today. So what I do here is I do have one little clip that I use not only just to keep my little thing together, but that I'll use here in just a little bit to hold things together so that I get the right tying length for my loop. These are pre-cut, and of course, this is nicely put together for the video, but this is something you can take a nice towel or something and roll up your little threads in them to carry with you in the glove box or whatever. And as long as you've got one that you leave to pre-length whatever else you need, you always get the right lengths. You don't need an extra measuring tape or anything. So I always have one extra blue and one extra white that are cut to length so that I can match 4 more, and I leave my singles as templates for the next time. So always cut you an extra. These are 8-foot lengths for the white, 4-foot length for the blue. So the white, you can see on this, it's the blue that's going to be the winding. So the white, I can pretty much give that length and I will be good. It's not going to be round or anything particularly. The first thing I do with this is I take one end in one hand, take one end in the other hand. So remember, this is without extra tooling or jigs or anything. This is just what I do with my hands. One in one finger, set of fingers, one in the other set of fingers, and I loop each hand so that I've got a stretch of 3. So finger here, and I'm actually looping a set of 3 across. And I make sure this is even right here. And gather those together. And make sure this is even here. And as long as these stretch taut, then we are good. So, stretch taut, I've got just a little piece off of one, that's fine. The general length consensus is there. And so, with these two, what I'll do is, I will even them up in my fingers, like this. And I'll take the other end, and I'll just pull it taut so I get my center point. There's my center point. Now then, I'm going to take one of the blues. I'm just going to lay this down right here. The blue, I don't trifold. I need my extra length, and so I simply double it. And here's my length on the blue. And I take that and I put it right there along my loop. This is where I do need to at least retain a center point so that I get the right winding. I'm going to go ahead and put this all the way up to the loop length there so that when I'm measuring out, I've got a good measure even into the clip there. And so here's the trick on this. You have to keep these separate to keep them tied, but you have to keep the blue loose. So the blues are loose in the middle. You're just going to use whichever is the longest one of theirs here in a minute. This one, you take and you just overhand. You don't overhand knot it. You overhand bow it. Just take it and put a little bow in it. And you're not trying to do anything except keep that end together so that all of this acts as one piece. You'll do the same thing to the other one. Take it. And bow it. So you're seeing this real time. I am doing a little bit of explaining, but in general, this is about as long as it takes me for one. If I'm being really careful about it, I can hurry it and I can put it together pretty good. Once you get the hang of it, it won't take you quite as long. So each of these now, and I'm doing this sideways. You can do it. Let me turn this around so it's a little easier. So these are acting as one on the white with your thread of blue, and now you need to make your loop. So what I do is I do a pattern. I do first under and then over. So from this way, I'm going to go from the loop underside, and this sort of pattern simply lets me establish a semblance of knottage. Semblance, I mean similar. And I take these and I pull them each taut so all the strings are straight. And then I take these and I pull it up as even as I can. I want about a thumb length. There's my clip. There's where the first knuckle is. That will be my initial looping right there. So take these and carefully bring them down. And now you're going to go loop over. You hold that. You simply straighten these out. Make sure that they're all taut and even. And then just pull this up. Now here's the tricky part. Trickiest part of the whole mess right here. You want to pull it just tight enough you don't move your top loop, but just cinch up your bottom loop. And if you get it right, there's where your top looping is. And you got about a thumb length down the first knuckle. So that's good. Go ahead and pull this up tight. That is your first loop. That is the hardest part. We have just completed the hardest part. The rest of this is all fingers. So here's where it gets fun. So you take this, you bring this up. Actually, what I do first is I loop it over the back finger. With all these different fingers, you got different lengths of loop. The thing is, you want to keep it taut wherever you're holding the two together in your fingers to do your wrap windings. So here's one length, looped over the back. Here's another length, looped over the back. Here's another length. If you need to loop down here and around and back, there's another length. So you've got all the different lengths that you need in your fingers, depending on how you loop and wind them. You don't need any other jig or anything. You got what you need and what God gave you to build the thing God told you to build. So what I do on this, I don't need anything but the initial loop first. I go down here and I find whatever my length, my longest one is. This is the one I'm going to start with my 10 because it's the longer one. Sometimes it just works out like that. You just take the longer one. So in order to keep my first knottage taut, what I'll do is I want to wind it this way. So I need to be sure that when I loop, the loop pulls tight the string the other way. So if I loop it this way, I'll go around the back side and I put it through, just do a little half hitch here. I know, fancy scout word there. When I bring this up, what I can do is use that first little half hitch right under the knot to hold all of this stable. And that literally, it becomes my first winding. It's very easy, even. It's not coming out of a knot at an odd angle. It is literally a hitch and first winding. And then all you got to do is do the rest of them. Now I need a little bit more length here to actually hold this between my first two fingers. And so you can even use how far up or down the finger you are to do this. So there's where my finger set is. And what you want is enough to hold it just below where you're going to wind it. See what happens when you pull this? It wants to twist. You see that? That's what you want to keep from. So the tighter you can pull this, the less it will twist. And you're trying to get an accurate count here. So that's why you don't want it to twist. So we got our first one. And there's 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, So, I don't know if you can see here, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, because it's going to pull a little bit taut here, that's going to be the back side of my 10th wrapping. You want the white that doesn't have a thread with it. And that's the one you're going to put together. So you pull those, you hold them. Hold them with your 2 fingers right there. So I still got the back side. And this is where my little pattern comes in. So I want from the under, pull that on through. Pull that taut, pull this taut, just even them up and make it real. You pull them with the back 2 fingers here and your front 2 fingers here, just pull them up right snug, and there's one. And then you want from the outside over the top for your second one. And that makes a real even square knot. Pull that taut, pull that taut, pull that taut. Just get all your strings even. And there you go. There's your first knotted string. So when you look at this, you can actually bend this and spread it a little bit. And there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's our first knotting. So you look at these, see which one you got longer. That's this one right here. Here we're going to do the 5. So I'll take this, I'll put it over the back side. Pull this to where I'm holding down just below. And this is actually what I've been doing lately. Actually, I need one more finger down. I'm down to the point now where I need just a little bit below. See, I can pull that really taut now. All I gotta do is loop it around the finger. I can pull that taut. So I'm going to loop this under. I'm going to take my string, do my first little half hitch. And this comes all the way around, so you really kind of want it to where you've got that one point coming down, and then the first initial loop. You don't really want to double the loop, so swing it on back around. And there's your first loop. So there's your 1, and then we want 2. So really, like around this way, this is 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Just cinch this up, tug it snug, let it go ahead and twist back around. Now here's where your blue, here's one without your blue. So we're going to hold these together. Need a little extra slack here, so move up a finger because we're tying knots now. First one is under. All you're doing here is just tugging them back and forth. You see how that little bottom flips so that you can get them all snug. And just go ahead and bring it on up and snug there. There's your first one. And then the second one is over. Bring that one taut, that one taut. even it up really nice and even. Then there's your second knotting. There's the 5. Take your next longest one. So this one, we're going to do 6, so we're going to move down a finger. Hold these kind of separated right down towards the bottom there. You can move this up on your finger. So you got a little ratchet here. You can pull that tension. This one's going to come under here. The reason I started doing this initial little half hitch was because I needed a way to hold that initial thread until I pulled everything taut. And it was going to be a loop anyway, with one single thread coming out right there from the knot. So I thought, why not? That just looked good. I've seen people go ahead and half hitch this thing all the way on down too. And I guess that's a way to do it, but it always puts that little edge in it. And I don't know if I like that. So this one's 6. There's 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the overage. So you pull that up and cinch it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that'll go down into the knot. So, first under, there we go, and then over. Try to square that up a little bit. There. So, next, the longest one. They're both almost the same, but this one's got a little bit of extra length on it. Be nice for our 5, and then we can end with the 7, which will be the other one, so that'll work out just perfect. Okay, we need a little extra length. So let's go all the way down to the pinky. Do our initial loop to hold it in place. So there's our initial coming out of the knot, and then the loop we're going to pull taut the other way against the loop. The idea here is you do want to keep these at least separated enough that they're easier to grab here in a minute. All right. And you need enough room to wiggle your finger through to make the looping here. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I think there's a tradition to say a blessing after each of the windings. I personally, when I am done, do the blessing for God commanding TziTzit, but I don't see where anything just heavy duty is necessary. You won't under. The thing about tradition is what binds in unity. There really isn't any blessing per se in the Bible for the Tzitziot, simply the command to do it. So however you bless, whether it's after each winding or wrapping, or whether it's after the total tying, that's up to you. That's between you and your Elohim. And then over. This is how we work out our own halakha with fear and trembling. That constant battle to become more like him. Even it up. So, right here is where most people will stop. That is Yod Hey Vav Hey 10.5.6.5. I'm going to do one more because in Deuteronomy, Elohim calls the Sabbath his seal between him and his people as a grafted vine, doing his feasts and his commandments. I am circumcised in heart, and I recognize the Sabbath as his seal. And so I have chosen to put that in my TziTzit. You'll see when you start looking out on all the videos that there's all kinds of videos out there for people to have different ways of tying these things. It's also only commanded to have a thread of blue. It oddly never says anything about the other colors of the other threads. I've seen some with Jamaican colors. I've seen some with all black with a thread of blue. I think the white is traditional because it's the colors of the Israeli flag. So, and see now, I'm having just a little bit of trouble keeping enough length here to do my last winding. And so here's where your fingers come into play again. This is not quite long enough, but if I loop here, come around this, and back up here, it's also too short. So I'll go one more up, do it on my middle, then do it around this one, and look there. How about that? We got a perfect distance. So I'm holding just below where I'm winding. Right where I'm winding is at my finger and held taut, trying not to twist that knot. And I got exactly what I need. Telling you, all you need is your fingers. So there's 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that should be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The next one goes down into the knot. Okay. And I guess I could put a half hitch at the bottom. I've thought about doing that, but since it goes on down into the knot, why? So first thing to do is in. There's my extra blue. So that one stays over here. That one stays right there. Pull it taut and get all the strings straight so it makes a nice knot. And then try to pull that up as even as you can. There's that one. And I'm actually going to do it from this way because I got a little bit longer thing here until I make the loop. We're going to go from over. Be over from the other way too, so same diff. Pull that up taut. All right, so there is the TziTzit with my knotted ends. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who's blessed us with his commandments and commanded us on the tying and the wearing of the TziTzit. Commanded us concerning the TziTzit. All we gotta do is take this and pull out the knot. Take this one, pull out the knot. These. You pull it up. And there is your thread, blue thread, a little bit longer than your white, which is traditional, and you're ready to go. So I'm going to make my other Tzitziot here. I actually have my templates in the other room. And you see here, it's actually, along with the explanation, all taken about 30 minutes. It literally only takes me about 20 minutes to do one of these. So, about an hour and a half for a full set, which is not bad. I've seen people that can do it in like 15 minutes. They have really dexterous fingers. But even for me and my skinny/fat fingers, I don't do too bad. So I hope this helps you. And shalom.